Welcome everyone to the LinkedIn Power Lab webinar from Monday, 9th of November 2020. This is episode number 14 for this calendar year already. And the topic for today is prospect people properly. And you will realize one thing over the course of the slide. I'm a huge fan of choosing 3 times the same letter. It happens every now and then. So therefore I also picked this up for the show of today. And according to these series that I normally run on every first Monday of the month, this month is on the second one. I've been a bit sick last week and couldn't really speak well. My voice is not perfect yet, but I hope it will go well. And for one episode per month, I pick one topic in regards to LinkedIn or social selling. And I started this already in February. And as I just earlier discussed with Con, who dialed in from Melbourne, I also have done a series of face-to-face events, and as soon as we can again, maybe in 2021, I'm happy to return to this one as well. So for today, prospect people properly, I prepared a little bit. So first of all, for those who don't know me yet or not so long yet, so my name is Gunnar. I'm a social media consultant. I'm happily blogging about social selling for 103 weeks in a row every Monday morning. I created 2 online courses. I wrote a range of books, 21 as of today. And this is a picture shown me last week when I had my anniversary of being exactly 4 years after moving to Sydney. What I would like to have is that we could potentially mute everyone, what I will do now. And if you would like to talk and speak, please speak up. That I think is the best approach how we can get started. And use the chat room because I might have a couple of questions in there. That is, I think, the best way how we could go. So sorry for that. So let's go. What I prepared for today are 3 topics inside prospect people properly. First of all, when we want to prospect, meaning we would like to find people for our network, and that can mean for our sales activities, that can mean for our person branding activities to be more known according to our targets, and that can even mean for our career aspiration that we have. We need to find a target audience. So that is the first step. The second step here would be follow. We need to ensure once we establish the connection that we can also do a follow-up. And that is quite well needed because otherwise it stays in a very basic connection and nothing is coming after this one. That of course would not be so suitable. So the next topic then after follow, we go further into form relationships. Here you find 3 times F. So my little favorite way of how to put letters together. So find, follow, form. These are the 3 topics I would like to talk. For each of them, I have one question where I'm looking forward into what you are typing into the chat room. And I can read it out and we can discuss this. By the way, this format that we run here, the webinar is more educational aspect. And I have also typically 2 weeks afterwards, I have more a workshop style or coaching style of call in a smaller audience where it's more of tackling a problem together. There's much more of chat room and speaking possibilities. So let's get started in terms of finding people. And as you can see here in the picture at the beginning, we do not know who they are. They might come in different colors, but at the end, typically, we do not know about them. So let's first look and put our thoughts into some important terms. So some people call lead generation, some other then say later comes a sales process. I'm personally more a fan of a buying journey or more buying journeys because the customer doesn't necessarily go through a process by their own choice. So starting with the lead, typically if somebody shows an interest in whatever way, that can be just by liking a post or by submitting a request for a demo of something. So then it's a kind of a one-way communication. Somebody has interest in whatever way. It matters then who is actually qualifying this lead. There could be a marketing qualified lead. It could be a sales qualified lead. And typically these leads would come in inbound, where they're also still existing and very well existing outbound lead generation possibilities. So for me, finding the people to become a lead, that is the first step of the whole story. So that we can build our connections. We do not need to even connect with them, but at least to build a list of people to put them into our funnel. So once somebody is a lead, they are qualified, then we can engage with them. So that is then rather a validated 2-way communication of a lead. So then they are getting one step further in the funnel. So, and in this funnel management, we need to know one thing, what I learned out of prospecting literature, so that in 97% of all cases, if you take it linear across the year, 97%, the customer is not ready to buy. Only in 3% they are. They might raise their interest in this 3% or short before that, so that's good. But it can be not strong enough, and if then we forget about those people, then they forget about us as well. So this means there are different nurturing activities needed on sales side or marketing side, if it's a lead or a prospect. Once there is a prospect and this two-way communication is properly engaged, then we can create opportunities out of those prospects. And then again, it's a different way of nurturing. If I'm offering something very concrete to a customer, it would be rather disrupting and hurting if the marketing is sending the next promotion to the same client while I'm already negotiating on a higher price. By the way, sales and marketing, in my view, in terms of the words, is for me more about, if you take it in black and white picture, marketing is talking to an audience, sales is talking to an individual. Of course, it's blurring, and in the middle is called marketing, which is a combination of both. And we then get it even further, and I must say also now welcome to Sigi, nice to have you here. Where we take the whole funnel process, there are various ways how we can call it. Somebody take it by the old traditional AIDA terms, which then would be awareness, interest, decision, and action. But there are various ways how companies create that. So we can take it further. We have the top of the funnel where we have the lead that gets in, then we run the whole sales process through, and then at the end we have customers. If we talk about job hunt, then it's not customers, but that's then that we are basically we hire, so to say, when we are the candidate of this. Or the other way around, we have the candidate that we hired them. So that's the way how that would work. Depending how you take it, it can work for all of the possibilities. Recently, I've been working with one lady. She wanted to have her LinkedIn profile updated. She's 80 years old. She wanted to seek further speaking opportunities. She has an Order of Australia, and she's been living in plenty of countries, lots of volunteering activities. So for her, it's not about selling, but for her, it's all about getting the chance to speak and influence, and that is a very good approach. So, question to you. How often do you search for suitable contacts on LinkedIn? If you please be so kind and write something into the chat. How often do you really sit down to search for proper people in LinkedIn? By the way, Con, you also wrote, you call this Explore, Engage, Educate. I love that because you also have 3 times E. You need to take that. Really love that. So Eric, thanks for having you there. You write about every week, so that's good. Yes, that shows consistency, and that actually is what's needed because we don't only look occasionally. And from sales departments, we often hear that they would go on it when they say, oh, I have a hole for the quota of this quarter. We have mid of November, half done, Christmas coming, don't have enough funnel. Now I need to find people. Now I need to find potential customers. It's basically 3 months too late if my sales cycle is about 3 months. So Dimi writes few days a week, that's good. Con once a month, but you need to do more. Yeah, we're getting there, we're getting there. So that's okay. But I think consistency here can pay off. And there's one difficulty on this in my view. If you look in this funnel beforehand, and we have customers or potential customers who are already much further ahead, and then they ask questions about whatever they want to know to make a decision. We tend to serve them faster because it's urgent, and that's right. But therefore we miss and postpone prospecting because this search is just me sitting myself somewhere to find people. I can do this all the time. And I can do all the time, I do it never. So therefore, there's a lot of discipline needed to make that happen. So let's go on further. So what else can we do about that? So how to find people that we can connect with? If we rely on only that marketing brings us leads when we are salespeople, it's not enough. if marketing thinks sales are the only ones who can convert leads, is also not enough. So we are all prospecting. In a certain way, we are all salespeople. So where we find the sources for our tribe? So first we need to define who is our tribe, who is our network, who should be there. But typically, when we are prospecting, we do not look for all. We maybe look for some specific focus area. So for example, if I would look for somebody who needs to have an updated LinkedIn profile, I do not need to ask Con or Rashid, because yours is already very, very well done. But I'm happy to connect with you, what we have done over the years. So I need to find out in my current prospecting activity, who is the one who I'm looking for. If I take Ziggy, who's in real estate, he has a different approach who he's looking for at that stage when he decides on which territory to go, compared to his same activity when he would go to another real estate agency and work for them. Same goes for network marketing. We all need to first define that. And when we have done that, then we can find out where are people. Where do we find the sources on LinkedIn? First of all, a bit underrated is who has viewed our profile. When we have LinkedIn Premium, we see 90 days, all of those people. That's good. If we don't have Premium, then we see the graph of this, but we only get 5. So these about 40 Australian dollar to get the Premium version gets us 90 days of all the people who view our profile. But they do this only for a reason: when we show content, when we are in the discussion, when we engage with their content, with their material, when we comment on that, then they can watch our profile. So viewing the profile is good after we have done an action. That's a content engagement. We can also find people in our feed, but we are the editors of LinkedIn, of our own feed. If we like and engage with the wrong stuff that's not relevant, then we will never have the chance to see the right feed content. So that's our journey, what we do. We can look who we are following, who's following us. We can look into the second grade connections. For example, if I would see there might be people who are behind Dimi, in case I would like to connect with some who are sitting in Europe, and she is on her digital marketing journey, well established in the UK. I'm looking for somebody in the UK. I would say, who is there who might be quite suitable for my activities now, sitting in London and in the UK? So second grade connection makes sense. As I like to talk to all of you, but behind of you can be many, many more interesting people. And the next one, which is also very often underrated, are group members. LinkedIn groups for me are a typical symmetry, because Facebook groups are very active. LinkedIn groups are very often not active, rather passive. They have been created maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago. People join that, don't leave this, despite there's no action. But the beauty is, I can communicate to everyone in a group, even without being connected. That's good. So I can look who is there. And then there's a section people also viewed. That's what we know from Amazon. People who bought this also bought that. So that exists here as well. So that was online, but we have also the offline world. So remember the days when there were face-to-face meetings, events, conventions. We might still have business cards from there. We might ask colleagues in the office in case we sit with them. We can ask everyone around, do you know somebody who also knows? Particularly those of you, and some of you are there in the call today, who are also in network marketing. Of course, that goes into more the private area where, of course, you know people who have same challenges that you talk about. So you can find people in the offline world. And the LinkedIn apps allows these two functions. One of them is to show the QR code if you would like to connect with someone. Done that yesterday as well. Show the QR code. The other one is scanning the QR code and connect. There used to be a function called Find Nearby, but LinkedIn just stopped that due to the pandemic. It will come back. So these are ideal versions. After we defined our tribe, we can search for those people. We need to do it in a more concentrated way, that we say, okay, now we do 1 hour prospecting, take out all distractions, which is difficult because LinkedIn is one per se, and then go through this. There's only one challenge. LinkedIn is not a CRM system. It's not so easy to say this person yes, that person no. We need to find a way how to store that information. For those who have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's easy. There you can write lists of people, but otherwise not. So here's an example of who viewed your profile. At that stage, I was actually exactly last year, I started to write about topics like cybersecurity. I wanted to actually find people in that area, and I thought, why should I connect with them directly? Then I said I would do, instead of that, I would engage with their content. There was one gentleman who has been a risk management consultant. He knew so many topics about it and wrote beautiful pieces of content. I took that content, and based on this content, I got some nice 5-digit numbers of views. So then the only consequence for him after he saw what happened with his content was that he engaged with me, not the other way around. So that worked quite well. So and here below this list of 1166 people in past 90 days, then all of them have been then visible. So that's good. If you don't have premium, you see the graph, you see the numbers, but you do not see who the people are. So next one. Advanced search. If you simply go on LinkedIn, and here it shows the regular way how LinkedIn looked like or used to look like. In the meantime, it looks different. It's now white since a couple of days already, for a couple of days. You can search for people. Ideally, you in the search bar, you type nothing, only go to the magnifier glass, and you get all of the list of the things you can search for. You press on people. You can do some filters, and these some filters are already quite a lot. So you can find out a lot about this, all the people filters, companies, profile language, whatever you want like to put there. For normal day-to-day work, it's not too bad. So you can search whatever word in there, put some names, put the filters. The only thing you cannot search too often. LinkedIn will then find out that you use search for commercial activity. That's too often. Then it would say, hey, please buy the next edition. In Sales Navigator, you can see more like company headcount, functions, past companies, whatever. There's so many more that you can search for in Sales Navigator if you really use this in a hardcore way. But if you want to search broader, if you exhausted all of the ideas what you've had, then you can also think about who are those people that you would like to connect with. What do they have in common? As I have some of you there also in network marketing, just as an idea, find out, compare those which are also in the same industry, in a sense of they would maybe sell this similar type of products or services. Find an idea how they are, what makes them common, and then search for the word. I would like to search for someone who's also network marketing. Potentially on LinkedIn, they have the words like network marketing, or maybe some brands. Search for that. They might be more active on Facebook, but there they don't show it that much. But on LinkedIn, they put it there. That's an interesting way to take it together. When you have done that, then when you not find everything in the advanced search bar, and you need to find fresh ideas because you don't see the trees in the forest anymore, then I would say, look on the right hand of a profile where it's written, people also viewed. That gives you typically 10 people. 6 of them might not be your connections, 4 are your connections to get an idea of who they are. And in my case here, I found then people who are also sales book authors, like Jeb from Sales Gravy, for example, or below Doug Lehman, also story selling for sales. So that's an interesting approach to find some people with similar interest. If I do this same 2-3 months later, I find even different people. So hey, that's interesting that even more of good sales experts are joining. So now we have also Peter Strokup joining, so that's fine. So then the next approach here, so then the benefit of this using these people also viewed is you can use the suggestion that the algorithm shows you to get you an idea of who else you can find for your tribe. Not just to work through the list of those 10 people, but to get you an idea, and that is an important point. So hi Peter, thanks for joining. I already talked briefly about the terms marketing, which you cover in your book actually.
Thank you.
So gets further. When we search online for suitable contacts in our prospecting activities, I also mentioned on one slide that there are offline sources as well. And I'm a huge fan of mixing this together. I understand in this year it's not so easy, but still there are possibilities. I always call this offline, online, offline. And I give you two examples. First of all, I went to an event from Australian Reseller Network in IT in partnership with one IT vendor and one distributor. Typical event in Sydney, 60 people. I exchanged business cards, particularly with one reseller. His name was Mark. Silent, introvert. After months, we met for coffee. We nurtured over months on LinkedIn, exactly how I described it in the slides beforehand. And when I've done that, one moment, he attended a webinar. And that webinar was in a radio station north of Sydney in Hornsby. And I thought, how does he actually know that? And then he's following the radio station every now and then. That was meant that this webinar took place with me as a speaker. He called me afterwards about that and said, Gunnar, what you said is now very relevant. So what I've done was basically to use various ways how I could get content into his direction. Then finally, as a result, we signed a partnership agreement and we closed the first deal. It was an offline contact. I collected a business card where normally not much follows. I connected on LinkedIn where normally not much follows. But I saw that he posted some stuff. I saw he liked some of mine. We kept ongoing a nurturing process. So I turned him from just a lead to become a prospect, so that then there was the trigger for him. And this trigger was basically a certain urgency for a need that he had, what he heard on the webinar, actually was a podcast I'm speaking about this, and then it became relevant. So there I turned basically in a combination of processes, I got into him. That was good. The next one, therefore I'm very happy that Colin is here. I had a seminar in my former employer Noggin, risk management software. In Brisbane, I invited people out of LinkedIn searches, as I explained it a bit earlier here on the slides, exchange business cards with a consultant called Colin, and welcome that you're here. The interesting thing is, Colin, we have been not even first grade connected. We only met physically on that day, and you shared here, thanks Gunnar, let's have a call today if possible, need to connect a client with your Queensland sales rep. That was good. I really loved that. That was a nice way. In the meantime, you of course moved on. And then once you moved on and you created your own consultancy, I've been happy to take some of your content, which was about the fourth industrial revolution, and shared it to my network as well. And you got some kind of leads going into that direction. And I hope you turned these leads further into prospects. So the company back then, after security, later I signed the agreement and closed the deal because it was a relevance and an ongoing content creation of that event. So we can combine offline and online worlds together quite nicely. That is possible, but it needs to have certain drive, and we need to have in mind who were the people. So now many of us have a network which is larger than 500. How do we know all of those? That is not an easy one. So everyone might have their own approach, how you can either memorize or write it down, or use tools from Evernote for note-taking into a proper CRM system, that you have a strict process to say which were the discussions that you've had. Discipline helps here a lot. So when I look into Peter with his German background, or when I look into Rashid and his wife with a Swiss background, and myself as well, we have more this maybe structured and strict approach how to make that happen. So we find those people, but we need to do something with that. So then after find comes follow, and that needs to make sense. So my question is to you in the chat, how do you nurture your network intentionally? What are the tips that you have from a strategic point of view that you do, and what is the trigger for you to nurture people on LinkedIn? Looking forward to your answers. Who's typing? How do you nurture? Peter, you asked for feedback on your articles. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's a good approach. I like that. Like and engage in the post. Viola, that's right. Polls, Con, you are right. Polls are a good way in the meantime to engage with the network. And then you can see also who is not just voting for something, but also adding qualitative comments. Engaging with the content is super. Very good. So let's look what we have. How to nurture with them. For me, the nurturing is a couple of activities we can do. There are those people who we like to connect with and others maybe not. But if we want to, we might want to make a connection with someone with the reason of building a relationship. Not everyone goes that way. Some people like to just connect to get a number, to say, I have now 50,000 followers, super, or 20,000 connections, 30,000 is the max. But many people would like to maybe build a relationship to turn people further into the buying journey. Many people just press on the blue button, connect. I'm normally quite allergic against that button. And this just connect is like, I take my business card and hand it over to those people walking outside. And they have no clue why I give it to them. For me, you have never a second chance to make a first impression. So when I get a list of people who might be suitable, like these two here, both of them are second connection. One of them, the right-hand gentleman, even is a LinkedIn open networker, Lion. These are those who connect with everyone. I could press connect button. Quite likely that I have more people than in my network, and particularly from Russell on the right-hand side, maybe more of his kind will connect with me, but maybe not very targeted. So I'm not a fan of a large network. I'm a fan of a large density in the network, that I have the right level of people there. Plus those from my LinkedIn, or let's say those from my professional past as well. We might not do business together at the moment. I've been working in Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe, so long. It's good to know what they're up to. Despite I don't do business now, I do not need to disconnect. But for me, this standard approach of connecting doesn't show respect. Some people, but they don't know better how to do. So then they only, they don't find on the mobile, they can also personalize the request. So what I do, I try to watch a profile to find a hook and invite with a personalized message. That's the best way, because then I have something there. And this message stays in between us. When I then look into, I'm searching for people on whatever activity I'm looking for, and I think, hey, there is a message I can filter, I can search for content in the messages. For example, here I connected with a lady from AMD, that's an computer processor provider from that actually was in Europe, from London, and it was nice about the training that I delivered there. Of course, it was obvious that I create a personal invitation. This message stays forever. It's a higher likelihood when I start with a message to turn it into a conversation. And that for me doesn't mean, hey, we have both 50 common connections. That's just a number, but something that makes sense. And to be very honest, out of this, a lot of my network here started. Once I wrote to a gentleman a birthday gratulation, good 4 years ago, a bit more than 4 years ago, and that gentleman said, his name was Michael, Gunnar, you're in Sydney, you should meet with Peter Strohkop. Peter and I connected in a proper way. And then from there, my whole network started in the sales arena. Danke, Peter. So getting further, get invited properly. That happens as well. People invite us and they don't do the effort to put in something there. So then, of course, I can accept the invite. And here, this was earlier this year, I had 743 invites. I can accept everyone, but I don't want that. Those people can be collectors, but I prefer connectors in my network. I need to protect the network from all of you, that we're not full of spammers and scammers. So need to pay attention for this one. So you see the second one, he's bragging with having 11,000 followers. Yes, I can also get that, but don't need this. So how would I know who joins? Somebody invites me, I press on accept, and that's it. No clue who they are. And the quality of my network can go down. When those people who I get into my network don't engage with my content, then the possibility of my content to grow is getting smaller and smaller. So therefore, I go on the desktop, I right click, I watch their profile, I find a good hook, then I can accept it and reply with a personalized message, like from Annette. Thanks for your kind comment on my recent post and your invite. Just started your website and I'm curious on your system for monetizing personal, whatever then came, I don't know. She's been in certain solutions that she provided. That was a good approach. So then at least I could start a conversation. I'm not a fan of pitching straight away. Build a relationship first and the message stays. So then when we take it from a funnel point of view, we start, find people, turn them further into the journey, and then we can also nurture them. So that is good. But how we do this? In my view, is content. Content leads to conversations. And for me, there are 3 steps how that would work. The first step of this one is commenting. I wrote a post here, one of my Monday morning posts, and there was a business advisor called Frank, and he then added some comments. So then I wrote back, and Frank, and then another one came in Wayne Maloney. So Peter, of course, you know him, and it became a dialogue of 3 and then 4 people. Commenting can drive a lot. So if I would like to find people and do prospecting activities, that's how I find people with a high likelihood. And that works quite well also when I go a little bit outside of my typical range of people. So we have here in the call my friend Rao. So Rao is also in IT and cybersecurity. He puts out wonderful content. So then I can engage with this. As I do this, I can point to some cybersecurity expert of my network who then engage with Rao, and that helps him to also get people into his network of people who have a high likelihood for that. So then, Rao, I hope the journey works quite well for you. And after commenting, second one is curating. And many people say, only forwarding content into the LinkedIn network, that doesn't do anymore. Well, if you only forward, no. If you only share some material without telling what's the reason, why, what's in it, then of course nobody will do this. But if I add something more, then it works. So having Peter here in the call, Peter, you taught me once a problem or the topic of permission-based selling. So I need to earn the permission that I can offer. Here as a LinkedIn poster, I need to earn the possibility that the person clicks on these 2 words, see more. So therefore I start my posting often with a statement or question. Then they can press see more, and then they see what's relevant. And then the call to action for this middle one here is click on the article. And then this article is clicked much more often because I started properly. And then people in my network who I would like to get through this funnel from finding the right people, prospecting further down, can engage with that. And the third one here is create, when I create my own content. And many people in the corporate sales space, they never create articles. They can curate, they get something for marketing, they share this without any relevance, and nobody engages with that. We've seen this so often. But creating makes sense. And some of you here in the call are good masters on that. So if I see this, Eric, you're writing. Lenka, I saw you writing about it. Peter, Rashid, many of you. That's good. Let's create content. The content goes further. And how can we utilize more and different formats? So first of all, the algorithm on LinkedIn changed substantially in this year. So where in the past it was just about the first 2 hours count. If you get as much as people on it, better visibility you have. But now it is the dwell time, how long people are also on the content. So that's interesting. And we have new content formats. So one of them is the document format. I used it already 2 years ago. So I've created a training one day, a face-to-face training about how social media can be used for book authors. And that was a document of 10 pages, was a PDF, large enough in the font that it makes sense to show that. And that got me so much more engagement, so many more views who are turning into engagement. That was perfect, highly engaging. So out of my network, there's a LinkedIn trainer, Sue Parker. She wrote about this today already. Her network size is very with high density of very relevant people in that area, and she got up to 40,000 views due to the fact she used this format. Very highly engaging, very good. The next one are polls. Con, you mentioned this already earlier. So then here was a post that actually Sue Parker has created earlier this year about the content preference, because she wanted to find out if video is still the hit as it has been 2 years ago, which was not the case. And the third one are LinkedIn stories. LinkedIn story for me is nothing so special. It's for me a waste of real estate on the app. But yeah, now in the meantime, after Australia, also the Americans got it, and many are now playing around with that. So now let's get into form relationships. So how do you build relationships on LinkedIn? Right in the chat. I mean, real relationships. There might be people that you do not know in person, but you can build relationships. Like Dimi, you and me on you in London, me here. So then we have this engagement already for a couple of months. Quite nice. I like that. So any idea how to do this? Educate, Con. Yeah, right. You are an educator. You are a learning development expert. So that's very good. I like this. Viola, be present. That it's a consistency. That's true. Always ongoing. And particularly you, Viola, you never give up. That's a good one. And you engage on LinkedIn, and then you use text messages and so on. That's good. Being present. Yeah, there's a couple of ways how we can do this. So for me, commenting to ensure momentum is one way of thing. And an approach that I take here is on commenting. I'm not a fan of using just these one-liners. We see here some examples, some masters of one-line comments to do on the quantity and then the quality. I don't like it too much because it looks like they cannot write English. I'm more the fan of thoughtful comments that helps to engage, that helps to get further. So here was an example, what I wrote about cybersecurity experts. And then I had some of them already then writing their own comments about it. And then a certain story went further. And as I have Colin on the call here, Colin, I've done this approach with one of your posts, and was it end of last year, that worked quite well. Starting dialogues, learn from the others. So Eric, you're on the call here as well today. Then we also started to write, starting with comments, and then you're here. So that actually works. And you can be perceived as an authority or thought leaders from commenting. The next way, how we can better follow up with people, we can use voice and video. So because today, typically the inboxes are full on email, and even on LinkedIn, it doesn't have that much of good filtering possibility. So it's easy to overlook someone. Hey, Viola, you're already there as well. So that's nice. So then, without having a proper inbox, how can we disrupt this? How can we get into that one? And one example is using voice when the nose is not as close as mine today. If we do this on the LinkedIn app, on the bottom, when we are writing a message, there's this little plus button on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side is the microphone button. There we can record a text message which comes as a block, as a blue block. Or we open this plus button, then we have other buttons here, and one of them is to leave a video message, like this one here. So then Alex, on the left-hand side, the guy from AMD we've been writing, I left him a video message. That, of course, has been quite helpful. That's a good approach. Yeah, and Rashid, you add something very nice. They have a number on their profile. Yes, many have a phone number. So what we can do, utilize the combination. They have phone. If not, we can even find them with tools like Lucia and so on. Or we can use text message, and we can use email, we can use LinkedIn messages. There's so many ways, and it's ideally we don't go just after one way, but into more different ways. And yeah, we need to take the effort to deepen a relationship. That's quite well needed. disrupt inboxes, get point across in a sticky way. If we use video, we don't use it all the time. But we want to make a point, it's a good addition. So it's different ways. And getting the number is a challenge, particularly for those people who don't show it or who do not want to be visible. Yeah, I know that. And then following up quickly. I'm not a fan of getting a pitch quickly from someone straight away on one side. On the other side, I like it because I can qualify them out. We don't want to be sold to, despite we would like to buy. So when we created nice content, we want to follow up, but when there's no regular checkpoint, it doesn't really do. So what I then do, when I post like my every Monday morning writing about social selling, then at lunchtime and afterwards in the evening, I at least comment on all of the posts that I can get into discussion, into dialogues. Maybe I can invite someone to my webinars, I can get further, and it shows that I'm active and responsive. Yeah, and also, Rashid, here you write about you don't ask for permission, you ring and ask if they're open to having conversation. That's a good one. 98% will speak very well. That's a good one. Because what you use your voice. And that's good, because it shows you more as a person instead of just somebody who's only texting. So the message is use different type of modes, and that goes quite well. So here as well, that was the same slide, rather going double. So, but how and when to do that? What we can do is, in my view, there's stuff that we can do during the week. 30 minutes per day is enough to establish connections using templates. So I have some of them available as well. Can respond to invitations from my effort to find people. I can engage with them. Also, I'm a fan of the birthday wishes when I somehow know them. To a person I connected to just yesterday, I don't feel comfortable to send a birthday wish. But Peter, Rashid, I would do that. And then bring discussion further. Suggest a call or a meeting, Rashid, as you just mentioned, on the phone, and also request referrals to others. There are certain ways, establish, engage, and evolve what I can do during the week. The only question, when do we find the time during the day? Normally, I would say, on LinkedIn in particular, I could do this on the way home, commuting time, when I'm not driving. But for those who are working from home, it's not that easy, because at one moment in time, you do not want to be on screen anymore. But we need to find this time during the day to make that happen. And the discipline of here, it what really makes it, what drives the big difference. I have 2 tips and a little bit from my side as well. So in terms of 2 tips, first of all, by the way, just watching the chat, thanks all of you writing really a lot. I really enjoy that. So that's a good one. And also, Con, you wrote your profile. That's very nice. So every time I got a recommendation, I promote it as a post. Yeah, we can do something with what we do, with what we get, so that we can showcase. In particular, I like if somebody is not bragging about their services or telling how good they are, but let the customer speak in a nice way. Recommendations are the most powerful aspect of LinkedIn. They are the social proof you need, absolutely. And that does not mean necessarily just endorsements. That is just a way to say hello, but a real recommendation. So what are next steps? What I can recommend? First of all, there's a very recommendable book on this one, Tactical Pipeline Growth, from McInnes, one of those social selling trainers who looked into pipeline from a more tactical approach, using cadence as one element. I wrote about a book review recently, a couple of weeks ago, and he takes this from a 2020 perspective, focusing on outbound to go out and use a combination of different type of methods in order to make that happen. One of the latest sales books that I read. And the other tip, how to get further on this one, and that is from Rashid, and here with his wife Barbara, Effortless Selling, which is actually a webinar happening tomorrow morning, 9:30 in Sydney time, because he looks into the way of marketing, prospecting, selling, and how this all comes together, and where to find more clients in that. So I'm very curious. I know you run these webinars every now and then. So then I'm taking the effort also to come tomorrow on this one. We all need more clients. We all need to solve or to get into the prospects that we're currently working with, but we need to find and make the time of prospecting. And that is something that goes the best way with a strict process to say, I spend every week whatever number of hours on prospecting, and I do it in that moment. Because whatever the length of the sales cycle or buying journey is, we can project further. If my funnel is too empty for this quarter, we still need some more, it is because maybe 3 months ago I missed proper prospecting. So how can I help on this one? So for those who already know me a little bit, so then what I do, I can help a little bit with the LinkedIn consulting. So I do discovery calls. I also help on the refresh of the LinkedIn profile, and some of you here on the call got some tips from me as well. That's good. And I also have a membership. I call it Organic LinkedIn Habits for 2 reasons. I like the organic approach, not the automated approach, and habits is part of my last name. So then how I take this, which includes an online course, and Rao and Dimi, you know that, which has basically topics. There is the access of the course, there's my group that I have, and the activities like my coaching calls, which will be this month actually on the 4th Monday, because November has 4 of them. And also we have in my online course 4 topics, starting with C, challenge, connect, content, and convert. This all fits together and comes together with the cabinet of all of my thoughts which I enjoy about that. So this is all what I'm doing, a lot of similar letters, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call. And how to get started, I can send the links around. So that's a good approach, that I have my course ready for that. And I have this Facebook group where some of you are also a member. So then it's very nice to get some of the discussion in a broader spectrum of, in the meantime, 400 plus people. So then I'm happy that some of you, like Rao, like Dimi, and some others are also, Viola, also part of that one. So that is nice. So anyway, so this is what I prepared for today. I will send out the slides come next tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I share the recording on my YouTube channel as well, and you receive an email with all of this one. I would like to go through the chat and wanted to ask if there's any question to me. Is there any question to any of the participants? Because this time we have a range of experts here as well, like Peter, Rashid, and Con. If I mean those where I know a bit about your content as well. If there's anything else that you would like to ask, I can actually open and unmute all. So then please let me know. Any question from anyone?
Yes. Hold on a second, let me just start this. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, Rashid.
Okay, so here's an interesting question. All right, so we have all of these people with LinkedIn pods, and I've just had someone talk to me about joining one where I had a look at the pod, and there seem to be, I don't know, 200 bloody people in it, but they're not people in our target market at all. They're all sorts of odd people. What's your thought on these sorts of things? Because I think you made an observation about who appears in your feed. So if you're going to start liking and commenting on people that have got absolutely nothing to do with what you do, is that going to start diluting?
Yes.
Because it's all very well to get traffic, but if it's the wrong traffic, not a lot of point.
Yes, it is basically, I would scream on the street in Sydney and tell all of them about my stuff, and nobody's interested in this. Engagement pods, on one side, it's not allowed from a LinkedIn in terms of service point of view. So some people can come into a LinkedIn jail for doing so. Particularly those, what you realize of those people who are in engagement pods, some people ask me in it, in 2 of them, I observe on the Telegram group, I see there are rules for doing so. Often you can only post in an engagement post and tell them something if you engage with all of other posts of the last 24 hours. How can you build a relationship with the other 200 people who can be typically from worldwide, somewhere there, who are promoting their maybe even good content, but on a different audience, geography, or industry where we cannot really contribute?
Yeah, well, exactly.
That I don't like. I prefer to comment on a range of people who I know, where I know that there is a common target audience, or I simply appreciate what they are doing, and I can contribute to this one. I can add further thoughts so that my comment has some kind of perceived value. I'm against these engagement boards. I don't say that I don't share or comment on a range of people who I know, but only when I have a deep interest in also on the content.
And something to say, because I'd have to agree with you with the one line, oh, great post. What does that mean? What value does it add?
The value that this adds is the assumption of the old algorithm rules that the amount of comments helps in the first 2-3 hours of a post when it went out, that it gets more viral. So
Rashid, I heard 3 to 5 words and LinkedIn will like you. Less than 3 words, you can comment till the cows come home. LinkedIn will not give it any love in the algorithm.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but
3 to 5 words.
Yeah, for
so
me,
very good word, very good post, Rashid. I really enjoyed this. Will give you something. Okay. Great post gives you nothing.
There are even tools who do this automatically, who would all the time react a little bit differently in terms with a bit of AI, that it doesn't look too automated. But why do we do the whole stuff at all? I do not want to have a machine writing content and other machines commenting on content. Then we can.
The machines aren't buying. They're not buying. Exactly. They're not signing the check.
People need to be aware these automation tools. LinkedIn, I heard a lot now, is really cracking down. I've had 3 people that I've met recently said they've been audited. Their accounts have been closed down, and it takes you 6 months to a year to unlock your account.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very careful. LinkedIn is really cracking down on this. They don't like this. And once you've lost your account, you've lost 10, 20,000 followers, which you've got to rebuild.
Yeah. So then
be careful. I do not do any automation at all. Nothing at all. Some guy hit me up today and said, oh, I notice you're very active on LinkedIn. What automation tool do you use? And I said, I don't. I said, no, what are you using? You can tell me. I said, no, I don't. I don't use automation.
Con, what you are using is just yourself and your keyboard.
Exactly.
You are doing this.
It's genuine authenticity. Yeah, exactly right. Be careful. That's what I'm saying to you. Be careful.
Yeah. There's something called the LinkedIn jail, and that's where people then get into. That can come from sending too many connection requests at once in a short period of time, which makes no sense at all. Because how can you really build connection with thousands of people? Makes no sense. Or automated endorsement. But how can you, I do not know any person in the world where I can truly endorse them for all 50 skills they can have there, because I'm not an expert in all of them.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So therefore, for me, LinkedIn is a great tool for connecting with people. I'm not a fan of collecting. For me, it is more the quality than the quantity. And in ideal case, I'm looking forward to a quantity of quality.
Gunnar, I don't know if you've had it too, but I've had one that says to me, one of them came recently and said, I will endorse you for 3 skills if you can endorse me for 3 of my skills. And I said, nah. I said, I don't know you. What would I endorse you for? She goes, but I'm going to endorse you. I said, I don't need that. I don't need your endorsement. We haven't even got a relationship here. So even those ones, I just try to, what I did with her is I said, thank you very much. Disconnected and blocked and reported. You need to report people. We've got to start reporting people because we've got to weed these people out of the network.
Yeah,
that's my approach. Sorry, guys, I'm ruthless.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd like to make the comment about before and talk about saying good comment. That's what everybody gets. It doesn't mean anything because nothing's been added to the conversation and you don't stand out. A bunch of good comments, good comment, good comment, good comment. It's like, so what? That doesn't tell me anything about you.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also the question of if my content that I produce doesn't entice good comments, then also the content is not good enough. And I've done once a test. I wrote about how I hate this one-line comments. I really don't like it. And some of those people who I had on the slides, then in their typical view of writing, they said, great post. And I wrote basically against them. So for me, there's also a reputation topic. If I write good content, it's nice. If I get proper comments, it's perfect. It helps to form a dialogue. But if somebody is always writing one-line comments, the perception about that commenter means that he has nothing to say. At the end, I even do not like it to have it in my, if I create a nice post, if I have good comments, and then somebody writes always just one-liners, I even don't want that. So to one person in particular, I said, please don't comment anymore unless you have something substantial to say. It's not about the number of comments. And LinkedIn changed the algorithm in that regard, as now it is more about the dwell time, how long some people are really on it, how they're engaging with it, so that the quality of the content, the message, gets further. Yeah, so the essence of the message is the message, not just about that there is one. Good question ahead. And also, by the way, Peter, I know you also run a webinar today. So in the follow-up meeting, I put yours as well there, because that's good to have that. And also, as I mentioned, the book review that I've done for the book of Mark. Peter, you know that you are still coming for this year for the book review of yours.
Thank you, Gunnar. Appreciate that.
Which actually, your early book, The One Team Method, has been the first book review I've ever written when I came to Australia 4 years ago. So then good to be on your new book.
All right. Well, I've just released, well, I haven't released it yet, but I've just finished the second edition of my second book. So you can have a look at it before anything else in the world if you like.
Yeah, that's good. It's very, very timely. So that's very good. So a lot of good stuff here in the chat. I appreciate this from all of you, the conversations. I hope that was valuable for you. So thanks also for those who have been quite vocal in speaking, Rashid, Peter, Con, also Eric, what you mentioned, and those who have been writing on the comments like Lenka and Viola and so on, Dimi. Thanks all of you. You heard my voice is not so perfect today, but I enjoyed talking to you. Really like that. Will be recorded, will be available as of tomorrow, 7 a.m. Sydney time. So thanks all of you for joining. Also, Colin, it was nice to see you on the slides and in person. Very nice. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Gunnar. See, Gunnar, it's 10:30 tomorrow, not 9:30. So don't turn up an hour early.
Are you in Brisbane or in Sydney?
Sydney.
Oh, well, if it's 10:30.
Is it 10:30? I vote
10:30.
Yeah.
I will correct that. Thank you.
That's all right. Just so you don't turn up an hour early.
I'll see you, Rashid. I'll see you there. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Gunnar.
All good. All good.
There you go. Stay, Gunnar. Thank you very much. It was perfect.
Thanks, everyone. For